Welcome back to this series of lectures for Design 113. In this lesson, I'm going to be looking at the polyline, and also specifically at the PEDIT command. In this file, I have two objects. The one on the left is a polyline. The one on the right is a series of individual line segments. When using the PEDIT command, I find it the fastest to type the command out. PEDIT. And you'll notice that the first option that you're presented with is to select the polyline or select multiples. In this case, I am just going to select this one polyline. Now, my menu changes down here in the command line, and I have a number of options. One of those is Open. We've already discussed that one. The one I want to focus on today is the Edit Vertex option. So I am going to type E. You will notice that the menu changes again in the command line, and now I am presented with a series of move options. You will also notice that on screen there is an X over one of the points that make up this polyline. That is the first point I used when creating this polyline. I started at 0, 0 and then went up and moved around in a clockwise fashion. So if I just hit enter, it's going to go to the next point because N is pre-selected as the next option. You can move all the way around. Likewise, when I get to the end, it stops because that is the last control point. So I'm going to type P for previous, and I can move back to where I started. There may be times when you want to modify a polyline by adding points to it. In this case, I'm going to type I for insert. AutoCAD now wants to know where I'm going to insert the next point. I'm going to turn on my midpoint snap, and I'm going to select the center of this line. And now there is a new point here in the middle of the line. I'm going to do another insert and pick the center of the top line as well. If I go back to the beginning and type N for next, you'll see that it moves to those new points because I have added points to the polyline. You might wonder why I would want to add points, and that may be because I want to make an adjustment. So let's say the top of this object is actually supposed to come down a bit and have a little dent in it. I'm going to type M for move with that point selected, and it's going to ask me for the new location. I'm going to use the @ symbol to make sure that I have a relative location. I'm going to say at 0, -1. That's going to move it down 1 unit. That enables me to modify the polyline relatively easily. Another option here is the break. Let's type B. I typed B with this point selected over here in the middle of the left side. Now I'm going to type N for next, or in this case, I can just hit enter. And I can say G for go. And it broke the polyline between those 2 points. Now suppose I'm finished with this. In that case, I can hit X for exit. And I have my options back to my main menu. I'm going to say J for join. and I can select these objects and hit enter. And now the polyline is joined again, and I can hit C for close and it will close it. So now it's back to one polyline. Let's go back into my edit vertex command. I want you to notice that now the polyline starts at a different point. That's because when I broke the polyline, it treated this point at the top left as the new point. So if I just go all the way around, you'll see that the order of the points is different. Let's go back to the first point here. And let's modify the width of the polyline. The first question is the starting width for the next segment. So if the X that's selecting my current location is at the top left, then the next segment would be from that point to the next point. For the starting width, I will enter 0.05. For the ending width, I will enter 0.05. Now it has made that section of the polyline thicker. Just that segment. And I can do that all the way around. So let's go to the next point, and let's change the width of that section as well. I want to start the width of this line segment at 0.05, and I want to end it at 0. And so now I've got a polyline that is thick here and decreases in thickness until it gets over here. Let's move back a point. And let's change the right line segment so that I have a polyline that starts thin at the top left and gets thicker to this deflected point in the middle, and then gets thinner to the point on the right. So I'm going to type W. I want it to start at 0 and end at 0.05. Now we have a polyline that increases in thickness to this point here and decreases in thickness until over here. So you can modify individual sections of the polyline while in the Edit Vertex option of the PEdit command. So remember, I'm inside of the two menus. I'm currently inside the PEdit command, and I'm also inside of the Edit Vertex option within the PEdit command. Now I'm going to type X for exit. Now I'm back to my original PEdit command. Let's look at the width option here, because the tools that I'm using right now are controlling the entire polyline. So let's type W to modify the width. And you'll notice that when I do this from the PEdit command rather than from the Edit Vertex command, that the text in the command line says specify the new width for all segments. So let's type in 0.05 again. And you'll notice not only does it make all segments thicker, but it changed these top two segments such that they no longer go from thin to thick in the middle. If we didn't like that, we could type U for undo and it would put it back the way it was. So the Edit Vertex command is very powerful. It allows us to modify individual points and also individual segments because we are modifying the points of the polyline.